For over 100 years, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach has been serving Iowans. As our state recovers from COVID-19, we will continue to deliver information and education based on research to help you care for your family, manage stress, and support your community, your business, and your farm. We're here for you now, and we will be for the next 100 years. Together, we will build a strong Iowa.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Tips from an Expert. We have been prepping and having a little too much fun trying to get me to do what I need to do behind the scenes. I'm going to let you know that we are flying solo without a video producer who we normally get to have today. So hopefully this goes really well. And you wouldn't have even known had I not already just told you guys all of this. So full disclosure. All right, so tips from our expert today. We are talking with two of our specialists, and we just want to share some information and some support for those of you that are caregivers for people in your homes. I'm going to bring on our both of our guests. I think we'll just all come on here. So, Dawn, do you want to start? Do you want to introduce yourself?
I think you have me muted.
Nope,
I'm not muted. I'm Dawn Dunnegan. I'm a human sciences specialist, and I serve 12 counties in southeast Iowa, providing programming in the area of family life.
Danielle?
And I'm Danielle Day. I'm a human sciences specialist in the area of family life in kind of the east central part of Iowa, serving 11 counties. So we're all happy to be here today.
Yeah, and Danielle, you've joined us before, but Dawn, you're a new face to Tips from our Expert. Thank you for joining us. And I'm excited to learn from you guys today. I have some close friends of mine that are caregivers, and I think the information you have will be very valuable to their homes. All right, so we're going to jump right in. I'm going to do my best to video produce and add resources as we go. Whoops.
Oh, wonderful.
All right.
Promise we got this, guy.
You bet we do.
So first off, we just really want to, really introduce what is a caregiver. We offer some powerful tools for caregivers, educational opportunities, and caregivers in this sense are really those family members or close friends who are regularly caring for a person with a disability, or it can be an adult with a chronic condition. It can be a child with some special health or behavioral needs. That is really how we are defining a caregiver for these classes. And we know, caregivers have some unique challenges. Mm-hmm. And so really kind of taking that focus of, we can all remember back to an acute illness, whether that's a cold, flu, something, really taking a look at the difference between acute and chronic illness. And so acute is something, there is a cure available. It's really short term. And you're going to be able to return back to normal. So your life can kind of be put on hold, or some changes can be made to deal with this because you have that certainty that your life is going to go back to the way it was as soon as this is gone. But with a chronic illness, or it really takes that focus of there is no cure, there's only management. And so our normal has to change a little bit, and it's long lasting. And there's some uncertainty. And so it's really important that a caregiver takes care of themselves. But self-care is so, so important. So you really need to ask yourself, what do I need to do to take better care of me so I can in turn be a better caregiver? So Dawn's going to give us some tips to self-care here.
You bet. We're going to talk about, and although through the 6 weeks of the series, we talk about many ways of self-care, but we're just going to focus on 6 steps today. And the first one is that it's important that we take responsibility for our own self-care. It's okay when you're a caregiver to take time out for yourself, for your self-care. we've learned that in talking with caregivers that, self-care is not selfish, but it's essential. We need haircuts. We need to take showers. We need to have a break and time away and reconnect with friends that fill us back up, or family. So taking responsibility for that self-care is very important. It's important to set realistic expectations and to focus on, what can I do? What can I do today or tomorrow to help me in my caregiving role, to take care of myself? What is it that will help me in my caregiving role, in my self-care? Do I need to call a friend? Do I need to get more sleep today or tomorrow? Do I need to schedule an appointment for myself or just take a break? So focus on what we can do. It's important to communicate effectively with others when we're caring for ourselves so that we can be the best caregiver that we can be. It's also important to deal with your emotions. You'll have them, lots of them, all of them, big emotions, and it's okay. And it's normal. It's normal to have all of these different feelings that we have when we are a caregiver. We do like to remind you, though, that if feelings of depression or overwhelmingness lasts for more than a week or two, in your self-care, we encourage you to reach out to a professional or someone who can help you with those feelings if they hang around too long and we're not able to pull ourselves out of it. It's also important to set goals and work towards them. What do you want, or what do you need to do more of to help you in your caregiving journey? What do you need to do to tend to your own health? Again, is it getting more sleep? Is it connecting with others? Is it maybe tending to our own health and making sure that we remember to keep up those essential appointments for ourselves? I'm sure you've heard, it's kind of a cliche, but we can't pour from an empty cup. So if we deplete ourselves, we aren't able to caregive at our fullest potential. So those are some of the 6 steps we're going to just briefly touch on today. And then Danielle is going to talk about those stressful things that happen.
So really, first we need to kind of focus on managing our stress. You're taking care of someone with a chronic condition, and that means that your stress levels have gone from manageable, clear up high, and everywhere in between, and they really do fluctuate. But it's really important that we recognize our warning signs of stress early. Really being able to tune into what those warning signs are. Are we starting to get forgetful? Are we starting to get irritable with those around us? Have our eating habits changed? Are we eating too much or forgetting to eat? Are we starting to get sick a lot more frequently? Perhaps our immune system is taking a toll. Do we start to cry easily? I will say that is usually a huge sign for me because I am not a crier. But if I am stressed, it's very easy for me to cry, and then I'm upset with myself because I don't understand why I'm crying. But really, that's that warning sign of that stress is bothering me and I need to get my stress in check. Maybe that lack of concentration, or maybe we're starting to get resentful towards our care receiver or those around us. Headaches, muscle tension, high blood pressure, all of those are warning signs, and we need to be able to recognize them early on. And then once we recognize them, we really need to take a step back and go, okay, well, what is my source of stress right now? Is it because we're feeling that we have just too much to do and we don't know how to get it all done? And there's a lot of pressure that we're maybe putting on ourselves. Is it because we're getting repeated questions from our care receiver and we're getting frustrated? Are we feeling inadequate? Like we can't provide the best care? Is there a lack of help from those around us, or maybe our inability to ask for help? Are there some family disagreements going on with how our care receiver should receive care? Is there a lack of sleep because we've added some extra work to our plate? Do we have unreasonable expectations, or do others have unreasonable expectations of us? And are there others around us who know it all and seem to tell us how they could do it better? That can be a source of stress for many of us. It's easy to look from the outside in and see, well, if you just did this, this, or this, you'd be great. Well, that's not always the case because they don't understand everything that's going on. Is there interruptions to our day? Or do we just simply have that inability to say no? That is a huge source of stress for me. I have the word no all the way around, that I have to learn that word and use it over and over. And so it's really important that we take action. If we neglect those signs of stress, we have increased health problems, disrupted relationships, there's burnout, depression, and all of that decreases that quality of care that we're providing for our care receiver. So it's really important that we identify what we can do and what we can't do.
Sure.
That's very important to identify and distinguish between those two. So what are changes that we can make? Can we change the situation? Can we change our perception around that situation? Maybe change our response? And then ultimately, are there some things that we can't change, and how do we accept that we can't change those?
Right. That acceptance is tough sometimes, of knowing this is what we have and we need to work with it, right?
Sometimes we have to adjust our perspective and really adjust,
Yes.
what is in our control and what isn't in our control.
Right. And that lays in a lot of paths in everyday life for everyone. Another one of the powerful tools that individuals will learn about in a Powerful Tools for Caregivers series are better self-talk. We're going to talk about 3 of the steps in self-talk. What we tell ourselves, what we remind ourselves, what we repeat over and over again in our mind, that sort of reel that just rolls. And so is that mostly negative or mostly positive? We encourage you to think about those self-defeating thoughts and try to get rid of them. Write down those self-defeating thoughts and then try to rewrite them as a positive statement. I have an example of that. So maybe we're feeling, I just can't do this anymore. Maybe we could rewrite that, whether physically writing it down or at least in our brain. Maybe we could say, well, I'll try again tomorrow. Or maybe we're thinking in a self-defeating way, I'm not getting anything right. I can't do anything. We're not completing anything around here. Maybe we could try reframe that thinking, well, I did get this or that done successfully today. Maybe we got everybody fed today. Maybe we got the homework done that needed to be done and turned in today. Maybe we got a meal on the table that we sat around and enjoyed. So we have to remember to think about the things that we are getting and write those negative thoughts down, whether it's actually writing them down or if it's just in our mind, and then rewriting them in a positive fashion. You need to rehearse these positive statements. Practice them. It's like anything. Practice, practice, practice. And then try to practice them in real life. We need to train our brain to use this positive self-talk on a regular basis. And again, this is going to change the way we feel about ourselves and our caregiving role. And as Danielle had indicated in some of her previous conversation, it's also going to change maybe our relationship and our positive feelings about our care recipient. So one of the powerful tools is, getting rid of those self-defeating negative thoughts and think about the positive things that you are doing every day as a caregiver.
Dawn, I always share in my classes. I have a friend who is really good about doing this. She actually takes dry erase markers and writes on her mirror positive affirmations or thoughts for the day, for the week, or whatever it might be. And then she can erase it. But on a mirror, you can have those right there. So when you're getting ready in the morning, there's something that's simple for you to look at and run through your brain. So you're running those positive thoughts and positive affirmations through.
I love that. That's a great idea. And I think all of us could maybe learn from that, whether we're caregivers or not. That, we often focus on the negative, the things we're not getting done, or the things that maybe didn't go smoothly. But we need to really just train our brain to think about, okay, there's that little pile, but there's a whole lot of big stuff that we're doing right.
Absolutely. It's all focused on not only that gratitude, but really being thankful that we are able to get done certain things, no matter how small that task is. We accomplished it and we can feel good about it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So we're actually going to take a step into, our communication. And what is good communication? Good communication, it's really how we express ourselves in a positive way without coming across as hurtful or critical of the person that we're talking with. And so not only do we have to be positive with ourselves, we need to come across in a positive way when we're talking with others. And so there are some steps that we can take, and some reasons why good communication is so important. It prevents that misunderstanding. Those clear messages that share what we're thinking or what we need. It doesn't require the person that we're talking to really decipher and figure out those hidden. If you don't state it clear, they don't know how they can be of service or help you. And that really, by stating a clear message and preventing that misunderstanding, it builds on that communication and builds on that relationship and maintaining that positive relationship with family members or the professionals that you're interacting with. We'll struggle there. And so we're able to talk without alienating anyone or without blaming others. We're just really able to have an open and honest conversation. And it increases our chances of being heard. When we use good communication, others are more likely to listen, just like we are, to what we have to say. And we're more likely to listen to a positive message and a clear message coming across to us. So if we come across angry or blaming another person, that person's usually only going to hear the anger or the blaming and maybe get defensive. And our intended message gets completely lost. And it reduces stress and frustration on everyone's part that comes from those unclear messages that we got to decode and decipher. Consider how good you feel when you think someone has really understood your feelings and understands what you need. And it enhances that problem solving and working together. Makes it easier for us to find common ground with others for working out problems. And it benefits not only the speaker, but also the listener. So good communication is extremely important in our everyday lives, but extremely important when we are talking about caring for someone else and what those needs might be, but what our personal needs are in helping care for that person.
Right. Often, Danielle, we expect everybody around us to be mind readers, don't we? I mean, I know I don't, and I get frustrated and think, why don't they know I need this? Why don't they understand that suggestion I just made? Or can't they tell by my actions I'm hurt or angry or overwhelmed? So sometimes this communication breaks down when we expect people to just read our minds.
It is. And, it's so funny because I think about, you always have that one person that you vent to. And I think about times that I have vented with my best friend and telling her, well, I'm not going to say it, and her comeback is always, Well, if you don't say it, do they know they upset you? Well, no, but they should.
Right.
And so it's just that logical and rational thinking of, if we don't communicate it, that person's not going to know.
Right. It really clears up a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings. And it's another powerful tool that we share in this series.
Absolutely.
Along with those iMessages. And Danielle and I work together often. And I think that she would say I'm a fan of iMessages, right? So
100%.
iMessages are important in our caregiving role and in basic communication. If we start a sentence by simply saying, I feel, I feel overwhelmed. I feel unappreciated. I feel like I have so much going on. These are more likely to help us solve some of those problems or get the help that we need in our caregiving role. Let me give you another example. Instead of saying, you never do anything to help. Okay, the defenses go up when we use those you messages. People think, oh, wait a minute, I have to have a response. I'm going to have to respond because it's being put upon me. We might be more successful if we said, I need to have some help with doctor's appointments, the physical therapy appointments, with the house chores. I need to have some help with dinner. I need to have some help with this online learning. We might be much more successful at getting the help we need. Or maybe at a doctor's appointment, you're not listening to me. Maybe we could say, I don't feel heard. I do not think that you're understanding what I'm saying. And I had a hidden you there. I'll have to talk about that in a minute. But we are more successful, and the research shows that we are more successful, and it sort of de-escalates conversations right from the beginning if we start with I messages. And it is important to avoid those hidden you messages. We could say, well, I think that, I feel like you're listening to me, but you didn't do this. We have that hidden I message. I'll take care of things. You never help. Or I'm so overwhelmed. I'm admitting I'm overwhelmed and I'm assuming responsibility for it. I'm overwhelmed, but you don't seem to care. There's that hidden you. So those hidden you messages get stuck in there, and then they can clog up the communication and not help us move forward and have our best steps in our caregiving role. It's important to practice those I messages. I think through this curriculum, it's helped me with those I messages. The more we present, the more it just sort of is ingrained in my vocabulary, because I have found that no one can really tell us what we are thinking or what we are feeling. So if we say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I think that this would be best for my daughter or son. We're owning our thoughts and feelings, and it makes us feel empowered. And no one can tell us, again, what we are thinking and or feeling. So another powerful tool tip today is try to start using those I messages in your conversations.
Absolutely. And I think that, over the past few years of teaching this curriculum, I have definitely started incorporating iMessages more just in my everyday life. And so if I have to have one of those courageous conversations, I automatically try to think about, how can I start it with an iMessage?
I love that. Courageous conversations. I love it.
So absolutely, iMessages are one of the great ahas out of this curriculum. So one other tool that we want to share with you today that is actually a tool that we utilize every single week and really get you focused on your self-care as a caregiver. It's one of my favorite tools because it also helps me recheck my own self-care when we're teaching this curriculum. And so Dawn knows we've taught it together. I get really excited and I'm like, oh, I could do this for an action plan or this for an action plan.
Yes.
And I probably have 6 different action plans that are running through my mind because I get so excited that it kind of just helps me put self-care back in a top priority of my own life when focusing on this. And so we really focus on kind of 5 steps for this self-care action plan. So it's something that you want to do. So you got to be sure that you are starting with something that you want to do, not something that you should do. So we don't focus on, I'm going to mop the floor once a week. I'm going to sweep every night. I'm going to make sure that laundry is all put away. Those are things that should, and those things that maybe we aren't passionate about. So it feels more like a chore rather than self-care or taking care of yourself. So you want to focus on something that you want to do. So whether it's a goal that you're focusing on with physical fitness or your emotional health, your mental health, focusing on your own health is what you want to set a goal around. And then ensure that that's a reachable goal. Saying that you're going to do something 7 days a week and then you miss Monday pretty much sets you up for failure right away and you don't even have a chance to accomplish it. We all know life happens. And so we're going to stumble, we're going to fall. It's getting back up that matters. And so really focusing on setting a reachable goal. So when people share, I'm going to do something every day of the week, I usually ask them to take that down to 4 or 5 times throughout the week. Give yourself some grace throughout this. And is it behavior specific? So we talk about that physical health, that mental health, the emotional, spiritual, really focusing on a specific behavior that we want to incorporate. And then we answer all the questions associated with that. What is it we're going to do? How much are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? How often are we going to do it? That's that really getting specific. So we're setting that measurable goal, that SMART goal. And then we focus on your confidence level. And so there are times when on these action plans, we ask on a scale of 1 to 10 how confident you are. And if your confidence level is less than a 7, we're going to ask you to reevaluate that. And so we'll start with the questions, is it really something that you want to do, or is it something you feel you have to do? Is it a reachable goal, or do we need to readjust, how many times you're going to do it or for how long, that type of thing. So really focusing on, we want you to have a high confidence level that this is something that you can focus on. And so Dawn and I have kind of talked about action plans a little bit here. And actually, we are going to give an example of some action plans. So really, when I would be creating an action plan, I would be saying, and I have started a new book that I really, really like. So it is something that I'm going to read for 15 minutes before bed, 5 nights a week. And my confidence level is definitely a 8 on that because I'm really into this new book. But really focusing on the specifics of it. Dawn, what do you have for an action plan?
So I have a couple. My first one, I think we all need to reconnect after the last year we've had, right? And I feel that, see my iMessages, I feel that a lot of us are needing to reconnect in whatever aspect of the community we're in. So if I were a caregiver right this week, I would say, I want to connect with a friend. That's what I want to do. How much? I'm realistic, right? I'll do it 1 time this week. When? Will be on Thursday because my child has a respite appointment on Thursdays. So I'm going to call on Monday a couple different friends to see who can meet me on Thursday to have an outdoor lunch or meeting or just visit with me to connect. So what it is I'm going to connect with the friend. How much? One time. And when? It will have to be on Thursday because that's when I have respite. And my confidence level is an 8. I think that I could find someone to meet me on a Thursday. So that would be an example. Another example that I like to share because we hear it often in our caregiving series, I just need to get more sleep. Most of us are depleted of sleep. So what do I need to do? I will get more sleep. How much? I'd like to go to bed an hour earlier. Let's say 4 nights a week. I'm going to do every other based on Danielle's recommendation of every night. Because if you miss one, then you feel like, oh my gosh, I might as well just quit. So every other night this week, I'm going to get 1 extra hour of sleep. I have a little plan in place of how I would do that. I'll start shutting the house down a half an hour early, turning off TVs and getting myself into a quiet location. My confidence level on that would be a 7 because there's so many more people involved when you're trying to shut down the house at the end of the day to go to bed early. And especially if we're a caregiver, our children might have a different idea.
Absolutely, and it's okay. Sometimes our action plans for the week just don't work out for whatever reason, and that's okay. But it's important that we then, take a look at what are some solutions. Is there a backup action plan that we could do? What are solutions to helping us meet that need? So really, we focused on some different tools talking about managing your stress. First of all, we identified the difference between acute and chronic caregiving. We focused on managing your stress, that negative self-talk and improving it and making it more positive. What is good communication, using those I messages and creating this action plan. These are just a few of the many tools that are offered in our upcoming classes. And so we do want you to know you can go check out our website. This is a evidence-based program, and we have evidence and research-based resources. If you go to the Extension website and you pull up Human Sciences and go to the Family tab at the top, there's aging, parenting, relationships, so many different options. But under Aging and Parenting is where you will find the Powerful Tools for Caregivers program, because we have the program for adults with chronic conditions. Those are coming up Monday night, starting May 3rd, 6:30 to 8 o'clock, and that'll be via Zoom. And then we actually have 2 sessions coming up starting May 6th for caregivers of children with special health and behavioral needs. And so we have one that's kind of over that noon hour. It's 12 to 2. And then we have one that's in the evening time frame, 7 to 9. So we really want to try to have open availability to meet caregivers with the timing that they need.
Right. And because we also understand that many of our caregivers also have full-time employment somewhere outside the house. So they're working and caregiving and, maybe not focusing on what they need. And so we really encourage them to jump into this class and learn some tools that will be very helpful for them in their caregiving journey.
Wow. I was just nodding the whole time and going, it's important that my mic is always muted. Trying to find there we go. So I was sharing in the comment section a handful of questions as you guys talked, encouraging people to interact. And I think even later, like you referenced, there's plenty of caregivers that are going to be watching this later, not able to view right now during the live. We did have Barb, who is one of our coworkers and close friends. And she said, in response to that that question of like, what are your stress indicators? She said the headache tells me I might need to reduce some stress. And I agreed with that one. I said,
Absolutely.
And the crying also hit me as well. And there's kind of I've seen something through social media that says, the game of when you have a headache, is it, am I tired? Am I stressed? Am I dehydrated? Am I hungry? Like, what is it? And it could very well be all of the above. So yeah, I asked some questions throughout. Hopefully we'll get some people talking with us later as they view. So I asked viewers, what are your self-talk habits? And I love that example, Danielle, of your friend that writes on the mirror. I think that's so great. Simple. Yeah. And having a whiteboard marker next to the mirror in the bathroom, might get some people asking why. And then you let them know, hey,
That's exactly how I found out that she does it. Because I don't understand, why is there just this random dry erase marker in the bathroom?
There's a whiteboard in here. Did you forget? Yeah, I leave random things places because I just take them and I set them down and forget. So no, I love that. And I even think, for my children, that could be something that I might be writing something positive for me, but then others are going to use that space, and maybe we've also done note cards and taped them places. But yeah, I think you might have mentioned when you guys talked about that, the practice and how key that is boy, do we get weird habits of, inner dialogues that just aren't good.
Absolutely.
Or even thinking, I a lot of times think, what is something that I continually say to myself that is negative? Mm. And okay, what is a positive counteractive to that? So anytime I say it, I need to, and it actually helps me retrain my brain with, okay, because I get in the habit then of going, nope, that's not what I need to say. I need to say that.
That's really powerful.
Right. Yeah. We just focus on the negative too often. And even though, we think, yeah, but that's just something we should do every day, is get a meal on the table and get everybody to school. Yeah, but it doesn't happen every day. So when it does, yay, ooh, let's have banners out for that.
Yeah, right. I've really enjoyed in the last couple years, the charcuterie board has become this big, and it's just an adult Lunchable. It's just meat, cheese, etc. But man, that's become a go-to once or twice a week, that we don't have time to cook and boil and bake. So we're just going to wash, chop, cut, throw it on a piece of wood and call it good.
It's perfect.
I know. And that's celebrating that, as opposed to thinking like you're settling. Nope, that is food. That is sustenance. Barb said, yes, leaving notes, so uplifting. And yeah, that's true. Not even leaving them for yourself, but helping others with that powerful talk. I asked this question, and I'm going to I feel like I might know Dawn's, but I'm going to ask. So how do you prioritize good communication? And my guess with Dawn is the I statements, but maybe there's more. Do you guys have go-to ways that you really work to prioritize good communication in your guys's life, home, work, whatever?
I think that this virtual world, and working a lot more with colleagues than in the past, we're sort of used to being out here rowing our own boat, right? Mm-hmm. And in the field. And so I've noticed that in this world, when we're working remotely, that I'm working with colleagues and I use the iMessages a lot. Mm. And I think it was pointed out to me, and then now I'm recognizing it. Yeah. So yes. And in my personal life, no one can really win an argument against me when I say, this is what I feel. How can they say this is not what I feel? So
that's true. That's a good, heard it from the educator's mouth right there.
There you go.
What about you, Danielle? What's your go-to?
And Dawn is fully aware of this, because like we said before, we work together a lot, but I am an overthinker. So I will overanalyze every single piece, or I will say something and instantly go, oh no, I can't say that. I shouldn't say that. I need to retract. So I truly do write out to make sure I have I statements and make sure I am focused on how I feel and what I need, so that I don't wind up getting caught up in those hidden you messages or trying to fight my point. It's truly just stating, this So the I messages, but I write things down because I have to, otherwise my brain gets caught up in the heat of the moment.
Yeah. That reminded me that I had this question because Dawn, I think you were speaking on this. Can you
Sure.
explain that hidden you messages again? That was I stopped breathing for a second because I was like,
Sure. So we think we're going to use the good communication. And this is when you're starting with the I messages. So, yep, I'm taking ownership of it. I'm feeling overwhelmed because I need help around the house. I'm feeling overwhelmed because I need help around the house. It's positive. Here's what I could say is, I'm feeling overwhelmed because you're not helping me.
Ooh, there it is. Shoot.
So throwing that, assuming responsibility for the feelings, using the I messages, but then throwing that you in at the end, just sort of, like that last little, okay, So that's the hidden you message can tend to deteriorate the conversation or the progress. If we are needing more help around the house, if we're needing someone else to make the meals, if we're needing someone to run to doctor's appointments, what is the goal? Especially when we're caregiving for children and family members, we need all of the players on the team going the same way on the field.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a few questions just about logistics of the class. So again, you guys presented some tools from one of our wonderful courses, Powerful Tools for Caregivers. Danielle, you kind of gave a rundown of some dates. There is in the comment section, there is a link that'll take you straight to those dates and some more information. But yeah, just a little bit of a rundown of the Powerful Tools for Caregivers class. So who would sign up for one of these courses?
So like I shared earlier, we actually have 2 different classes for 2 different types of caregivers. One class is for caregivers of adults with chronic conditions. So that can be anything from just taking care of an aging parent, perhaps, or an aging spouse, to dealing with that dementia or dealing with someone that has MS, perhaps, or any type of chronic condition. So that's really caregivers of adults with chronic conditions. And then that program we run as a 90-minute program. So there's 6 90-minute sessions, one every week. And that is coming up starting Monday nights, May 3rd. And it's going to be via Zoom, which is nice because you don't have to then, find someone else to take care of your care receiver and line up all of these other things and then worry about getting a meal.
Yeah.
We encourage you to be comfortable and be present in the class. So there's that one class. And then we have a second focus. We have a focus of a caregiver for children with special health or behavioral needs. And so that can be anything from maybe a child with disabilities to a child with ADHD, or even right now, so many of our children have so much stress going on because of COVID that we are seeing a lot of children have anxiety or depression struggles. And so this is a class for a caregiver of someone dealing with that as well. These are actually 2-hour classes. And so they're coming up starting in May again. That first week of May is kind of the starting point. And so it'll be on Thursdays starting May 6th. And we have 2 different options. So we have the 12 to 2 option, and then we have a 7 to 9 at night option. So perhaps you could not perhaps work with your employer and do it over the noon hour and take some extra time. Or once you've fed the kids and gotten them all kind of settled for the evening, you can join us then as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, virtually, I so value in-person opportunities.
Absolutely.
I really, really do. But wow, like very, just really accessible. And like you said, it takes that potential difficulty of finding someone to step in so that you can leave for this opportunity, that you get to stay in your home and help provide that care.
Right. And, in addition to that, in rural Iowa, it's often hard to get that critical mass in one area. And so sometimes individuals would have to drive, an hour or so to attend a class one way. And so this, cuts down on that travel time and makes it more accessible to families as well.
Okay. This is like Leah's mind now thinking of a question. Are attendees able to interact with each other? Like, so if you are in an area where maybe you are one of few families that are providing care to someone, does this provide that kind of a networking, meeting other people?
It does. And, I'm sure I'll give Danielle a chance to share here in a minute, but I've seen some beautiful relationships made throughout these 6 weeks that, you get into that week 3 or 4. And when we were face to face or even in the virtual ones we've done, they start sharing phone numbers and texting and calling. And this is who we go to for this sort of, counseling or therapy or support, and one of our classes is community resources. And so, yes, we definitely encourage the interaction. And Danielle, have you had some of those great stories?
Absolutely. It is. It's really that kind of by week 3, everyone's let down their guard a little bit. So they're a little more comfortable, and we're starting to share stories, and we're asking how the other one's families are doing, and really getting connected. And like Dawn shared, sharing the resources with each other. But also, like our last class that we just did virtually, they all happen to be within a few counties of each other.
Oh, wow.
And so, and it was the caregivers of children. And so what was really interesting was we had a mom and a grandma, but then we also had a friend in there. And so you're taking it together, and it's almost like that accountability support group that you got going on, because you're learning the same tools. So you're able to hold each other accountable to utilize those tools.
Yes,
absolutely. Anytime people come together and there's just this common thread, and then, you see them become stronger because of that, like that gets me like, and that's very much that picture of just not feeling, we've been very isolated this last year. So having a moment to feel near others, even if you're not physically near others. Okay, so I think you guys have answered all of my questions. I'll double check in our comments. I'm going to put up one more time and reminding everyone that this is in the comments. But if you're interested, if you want to learn more about this Powerful Tools for Caregiver class, which again, there are a couple options for caregivers of adults with special needs, or of caregivers for children with special needs. And this link is live in the comments. Just click and it'll take you right there. You'll get to see the times, the dates available, and just read a little bit more. And you mentioned it earlier, but I always think it's really vital to hear again, like this is evidence-based. This is going to help you because evidence says it will. And I think you guys kind of spoke to me beforehand, but if you want to just kind of clarify, like when if I was taking this course, and I think we put it in the comments to make sure we get there, is this going to help me deal with my child's special needs, or what's my expectation of what I'm going to gain and take away from Powerful Tools for Caregivers?
I'll let you go, Danielle. Go ahead.
So this class, yes, I tried to start out with this, but if you got in kind of midway through, this class is really focused on you taking care of you. So it's focused on that self-care so that you can, in turn, be a better caregiver. So it's focused on you, focused on giving you some communication tools, some self-care tools, kind of filling a toolbox is kind of the image that we always share of not every tool may be a tool that you want to use, but it's a whole toolbox of tools that you can pull out when you need to find the right tool for a difficult conversation or taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I know I've had participants come to the class and think that very thing. Oh, you want to help me? Because often as a caregiver, we're way at the back of the line for the care and the self-care. And sometimes it has become emotional when we are with a group of people and we say, what do you need? What are your needs that aren't getting met? What can we do? And it's just when you're a caregiver and a parent sometimes, or a guardian or a grandparent, it just is a foreign concept to think about caring for yourself. And then when we remind them, this is critical and essential in your caregiving role. It's not selfish. It's essential that we help to fill you up so that you can go on your way and continue with your work as a caregiver.
Dawn's going to make me cry.
Oh,
I keep wanting to say the word powerful, and I'm like, gosh, powerful tools. This is powerful.
Yes.
That's really, there's the thought of how often, like you reference, parents, grandparents, caregivers, that you just so often are really focusing on putting others' needs forward, and then to have somebody say, no, what do you need? Like, ooh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. But I didn't cry. I just almost cried. So
yeah. I thought you were just going to sneeze.
Allergy season is coming.
Yeah.
Barb's adding.
But these aren't tears. I just am sneezing.
No, it's just the allergies. Yeah. Barb added, I especially like learning the communication skills that I can use to advocate for a child who may have a special health or behavioral need. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, those I statements come in really handy when you are, I don't know if full-time job is the right amount, but it probably is. If you're a caregiver, it's probably your full-time job to advocate and being able to really have those powerful communication skills. Yes. And then she showed some love because we love Barb. We love Barb. Yeah. I've really gleaned a lot from this. And I really hope that others that are watching that are caregivers that are in that role know that they now have, a new tool before they've even potentially taken the class, because they've now seen you, heard from you, and now we're going to share your guys' emails. Because
I do want to share though, Barb is one of our training.
Yeah, our master trainer. She's a master trainer.
She's a master trainer. So she truly does provide the class a lot, but she trains class leaders like Dawn and I. But there's several different people out in communities as well that are class leaders. And so we have those classes available too at the website.
Yeah, I saw that on the same website that you can register for the classes. You can register to become a trainer. So maybe this is something that you're feeling really passionate about, learning more about how maybe this could be something that you supported others with. So again, this is Dawn, Danielle, your email address is up there. We've also got our Facebook, which if you're watching this on Facebook, you probably already know the handle, but we're on Instagram and Twitter as well. And we consistently share updates on classes available or other ways and other resources or areas you can learn. And Barb, we've shared some of her comments, and you just spoke about Danielle. Her and I actually have some planning to do, because she'll be joining me live on Instagram prior to that early May date, so that we can talk a little bit on that platform about some of these tools as well. So again, you can email Danielle or Dawn if you have follow-up questions, but also remember that you can use the link that's live in the chat. You can visit the Human Science page. There's just an abundance of amazing resources, information on other programs, and there's direction on specialists you can connect with based off of your need. And then again, that link that's in the comments for these upcoming courses for powerful tools for caregivers. Before we leave, I know one thing I want to end with, and then I'm going to give you guys the ability to, any last minute thoughts that have come to mind. But I also want to share Iowa Concern, which is a hotline. It's available 24/7. It is free and it is confidential. They offer support to all of us when we just need it. So that can be that could be a family issue, that could be financial, that could be a disaster. There's a lot of times that we might just need an outside third-party source to provide some support, and they do that. Again, free, confidential, 24/7. Just give them a call right here at this number on the screen. I'll leave that up there for a second. Dawn, Danielle, any last-minute thoughts you want to leave viewers with?
Lee, I'd just like to thank you for raising us up and for doing such a great job of getting us out there across the social media network. So you're doing a great job. And I'd like to just continue to support all of the caregivers out there. Reach around and give yourselves all a great big pat on the back, because just doing what you're doing every day is something to be very proud of, and just keep going on your journey.
Yes.
Absolutely. Right. Well, how do I follow that one? Yes. Thank you, Leah, for having these and for letting us share some tips and tools out there. I would just encourage you, it's been a really stressful year. Officially a year now. It's been a really, really stressful, hard year for everyone. And so Iowa Concern is always available, but also know that we offer several other programming around mental health and behavioral health, as well as lots of resources on managing stress that we can all utilize right now.
Yeah. And again, a great place to go to find a lot of those resources is going to be this Human Science homepage. So many resources. All right. Well, we did it. It was a rocky start. I was nervous about my production skills, but we did. We went live, which was number one fear, that I wouldn't press the right button. And I didn't disconnect us at any point. So woo, yay. If you're watching this later on after this live is over, as we end this shortly, still throw any questions or comments or aha moments, throw those in the chat. If you've got questions or something along that line, I will direct those. I'll make sure that Danielle or Dawn see those and that we provide you a response. And yeah, we are here to support you guys in your journey, like Dawn said. And yeah, I hope you gleaned some from today. Caregivers for sure, and any others that viewed in. Feel free to share this with others, or maybe if you've got support groups on social media channels, make sure that others can see this amazing opportunity. All right, Dawn and Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you again. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.